Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome here as we continue on this season of the NNSCRA Hersheys Cup Series. We're getting ready for qualifying for race number 20 here at our next road course stop. This is Watkins Glen International. These drivers are going to have to get themselves on track as soon as possible because there's only 5 minutes on the clock per each session. And if they don't get themselves out soon, they may not be able to lay down a lap time at all. So, you see Levi McIntire out very quickly. Joshua Ciculii has already taken off pit road and made sure he's going to get himself onto the scoring charts. See if anybody else has decided to come out yet. There's Benjamin Miles, two-time winner this season, most recent win at Coca-Cola Speedway. Cody Llamas, still looking for his first win of the season. Dillon Young is now coming off pit road there in the 2-car. Tellier in the 35. There's Matthew Dallio. Austin Mongold. Road course ace Anthony McCrury. Defending champion Elijah Gordon. As Ciculii is now on the clock for speed. Stephanie Gardner now out onto the racetrack with Kyle Matthews, Brandon Gonzales, Jake Baskinger. Here comes Joseph Srigley, but there's a whole host of others that haven't come off pit road yet. There's Keith Batson coming off pit road. We've gotten word he's actually going to have a different sponsorship next week. Aaron Henderson now coming off. We're looking at Seth Cole. There's James Qualls back there. Shaun Gallighan, Carson Scott, they're all coming off pit road now. There was the 88 of Garrett Sidner as well. So there's the 47 of Ciculii. Right now, he and Levi McIntire are the only two that are on the clock right now to lay down their first lap times of this session. And when both of them cross the line, they're going to have just about maybe 2 minutes left to be able to score one more lap, I would think. Maybe they can score two in 2 minutes, but I don't think so. And the first lap laid down by Ciculii is a 1 minute 7 second lap time. 1:07.9. That's a pretty good lap time there. Let's jump back, find Levi McIntire. I don't know if he's crossed the line yet or not. Nope, he's about to. Let's see if he can beat Ciculii's lap. Ciculii had some drivers ahead of him, so he might have gotten some draft on some of the straightaways. We'll see, though. And McIntire, 108.394. So Levi, right now second fastest. Next driver to lay down a lap time, I believe, an official lap time would be the 25 car, and it is Benjamin Miles, 107.911. Cody Llamas, 107.8 flat. Dillon Young, 107.882. So those three right now are the top three. Cody Llamas right now the fastest car on track. McCrury just ran a 107.3834. That's up to third, and Ciculii just beat Cody Llamas' lap, 107.715 for the 47 car. Wow, look at Benjamin Miles there, get a little bit of the grass area as he ran the rumble strip through the dog leg. This could be a great opportunity there for Ciculii to be able to maybe pick up second win of the season in his quest to get into the top 30 in the point standings. Was a former contender for the championship last season. Matter of fact, I looked back in the standings, and Joshua Ciculii was actually officially second in the points for the finish of last season. Who did he finish second to? The guy right in front of him, Anthony McCrury in the 61. Dillon Young, top of the leaderboard, 107.685. And we'll see if Anthony McCrury or Ciculii can beat that here. McCrury, top of the leaderboard, 107.4. Ciculii got a 107.5, but McCrury's now the fastest on track. And now we'll watch the battle for 12. As there is now about a minute remaining here for drivers to be able to complete the lap times. Right now, Trent Dunham sits in that final transfer spot. Levi McIntire just ahead. Trent Dunham a 108.067. Let's jump to the Sega Chevrolet. There he is. Hoping nobody could beat his lap time. Oh, someone just did. That might have been Dillon Poteet, and now Levi McIntire's on the bubble. Now he's out. Now Dillon Poteet is on the bubble. Oh, a couple cars off track. Whoa, that's Daniel Voyles. Oh my goodness. Voyles hard into the tire barriers, as now it is Garrett Sidner in the final transfer spot right now. James Qualls, Carson Scott just coming off pit road again. Right now, Garrett Sidner sits in the 12th position. No longer, he just got eliminated. Now Stephanie Gardner's in 12th. And zero's on the clock. I think that's it. Trent Dunham, I think, just barely raced his way into the next round. So did Seth Cole and Austin Mongold. Poteet jumped up to 5th. O'Neal Baldwin up to 2nd. So as things stand, it looks like the next drivers to move into the next round from this heat are Anthony McCrury, O'Neal Baldwin, Joshua Ciculii, Dillon Young, Dillon Poteet, Aaron Henderson jumped up to 6th, Cody Llamas, Benjamin Miles, Austin Mongold, Seth Cole, then Stephanie Gardner,
drivers to your car,
and Trent Dunham. So the drivers that move in that are go or go homers include Baldwin, Henderson, Mongold, Cole, and Gardner. So that's 5 go or go home drivers. So if more than 2 drivers transfer into the next round from the second heat, that means the drivers that will fail to qualify for this race will include Garrett Sidner, Keith Batson, Matthew Dallio, Elijah Gordon, John Gilbert. And you can see there were a couple of drivers that didn't even get to lay down a lap time. I think some of those would have included James Qualls and Carson Scott. There's only 28 drivers officially laid down a lap time, and there were, I believe, 32 drivers in this lineup. So, not good there at all for some drivers. They're going to be starting near the rear of the field, and some drivers never got the opportunity to try and make the starting lineup. Anyway, that's our 12 drivers from McCrury on down through Stephanie Gardner that will transfer into the next round of qualifying. Let's get ready now for for heat number 2 in round number 1 of qualifying, see what 12 drivers will be joining them in round number 2. So now we'll get ready for our second heat of the first round of qualifying, and you can see Chris Dodd, James McLeod very quickly off pit road. I don't blame these guys. If they watched the first round of qualifying, they would know, or the first heat of the first round of qualifying, they would know that you gotta get out there, you gotta get a lap time laid down as quickly as possible. Because out of 32 drivers from our first heat, only 28 scored an official lap time. 4 drivers didn't even get around to complete a lap time. Looking at the Oreo Chevrolet of Chris Dodd, his teammate Garrett Sidner, 1 position short of moving on to the next round, and thus more than likely will not be racing in the main event. James McLeod in the 51. Outside pole sitter for this season's Daytona 500. He ended up qualifying for a race a couple of weeks ago. I think it was at Coca-Cola. Had a fairly good car there. I don't rightly remember where was he finished. I think he finished in the top 10. Might be wrong. James McLeod from New Jersey, which is fairly close to New York. And to my knowledge, we're not, well, actually we are going to a track that, quite honestly, I think should be stationed in New Jersey, and I don't think it is. I think it's actually stationed in Massachusetts. M&M Super Speedway. To be honest with you, I'm not really sure why M&M Super Speedway is in Massachusetts. It would make more sense for it to be in New Jersey, since the M&M's Mars plant is in Hackettstown, New Jersey. But it is in Massachusetts, according to the NR 2003 game. Now Chris Dodd, his pit stall was back before the start-finish line, so they actually scored him with a 1:23.063 that last time, but this will be the actual first official lap time by the Oreo Chevrolet. as well as the Target Chevrolet of James McLeod. Let's see what they lay down. First lap time in the first heat, I think, was a 108 something. Let's see what Chris Dodd gets. 109.295, and McLeod beats it. 108.551. Ironic. 551. 51 at the end of his time, and he drives the 51 car. Very interesting. Right now, he's in a tussle with James Richardson. Emmanuel Hartnett just now merging on track behind him, and there is Charles Sandfer. Charles Sandfer actually moved up a couple of spots in the point standings last week with it was an 11th place run. Might have been like 11, 12, 13, somewhere in that range. And wow, a lot of drivers taking the top of the leaderboard now. Joshua Michaels had it for a moment. Now Davey Johnson takes it. Tripantacchio, Vernio jumped up to third, and now Marty Johnson jumps up to second. John Cittadino, top of the leaderboard. 107.737. He's been really good in qualifying the last couple of weeks. He's had to be, though, because of the fact that's a non-chartered car now. Dallas McIntosh just jumped up to second. Noah Kars, who also has stepped up his qualifying program, now up to fifth. And Kyle Keith up to second. Could this be the 1 week where Kyle Keith does not need his teammates to get him a charter? Someone just spun there out of the exit of the chicane. It was Dougie Shears. Fortunately, he didn't hit anything. And I believe at least 3 of the 4 drivers in the first heat that did not score a lap time. Pretty sure I know who they are. As Davey Johnson, top of the leaderboard, 107.6. James Qualls and Carson Scott, I believe, are 2 of them. We saw them sitting on pit road, and I believe another one would have been Daniel Voyles, who we saw hit the tire barriers out of the exit of the chicane. See if Cittadino can jump back to the top of the leaderboard. No, he cannot. That time a 108 flat for the 83 car. So right now, Davey Johnson is the top of the leaderboard. No longer. Noah Kars just ran a 107.626. 7 1/1000ths faster than Davey Johnson. And now we are going to have the 1 minute remaining for drivers to complete their lap times. And right now, the driver that sits in the bubble spot is the 22 of JT Bryant. No longer. He just got knocked out. Tripantacchio Vernio is now in the 12th spot. Remember, he ended up qualifying to the next round of qualifying last week at Coca-Cola. Got eliminated in the second round, and now he just got eliminated. He's down to 13th. Now it's Joshua Michaels, who was top of the leaderboard earlier on this session. Now he's in the bubble spot of 12th. 108.205, his lap time. 30 seconds to go. Can anybody beat Michaels and eliminate him from the second round of qualifying? Yep, somebody just did. I don't know who it was, but now Charles Sandfer jumps up to 12th. No longer. Now it's Rocco Twyman in the 12th position. 108.084. 7 seconds. Can Twyman hang on? And he just dropped. He just dropped. With about maybe a second remaining, he just dropped to 13th. Marty Johnson dropped to 12th and will get the final transfer spot into the next round of qualifying. But who are these drivers that jumped up? 11th Hartnett, Tim Walsh up to 10th, Holden Gluba up to 6th, Zack Flickinger up to 5th, Grayson Acevedo up to 4th. And Dougie Shears, who we saw spun out, up to 9th. And that's it. Session's complete. And we have our 12 drivers from the second heat. Noah Kars, Davey Johnson, John Cittadino. That's go or go homers that swept the top 3 right there in speeds in this session. Then Grayson Acevedo, Zack Flickinger, Holden Gluba, who, if I'm not mistaken, I've got to look back, but I believe Gluba was actually the pole sitter for this race 1 year ago. Kyle Keith might be able to make the race without needing to use his teammates' charter. We'll see. Dallas McIntosh, Dougie Shears, Tim Walsh, Emmanuel Hartnett, and Marty Johnson will get the final transfer spot. That is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 non-chartered cars this time. We had 5 move in from the last round. which means that 12 drivers will be moving on to the next round of qualifying. 5 of them will still be going home regardless of making it into the second round of qualifying. And so officially, drivers that will not be starting the race at this point include Rocco Twyman, James McLeod, Trepin Tachiavernio, Marie Minobi, John Andrews, Daniel Olson, Pichu London, Jason Haywood, as well as Joe Rockingham, Zach Rogers, and Johnny Gardner. This time, all 33 drivers actually turned a lap time, down to William Brock, who ran a 109.2353. So that time, everybody got on track. They learned the mistakes of what took place in the first heat and applied it here and at least got themselves a lap on the monitor. So let's move on to our second round of qualifying. 24 drivers, 12 of which are non-chartered cars, 5 of which will be going home. We're about to find out who's going to move on to the final 12 in the third round of qualifying and who's going to be in this race for the Go or Go Home drivers. Don't go away. Coverage continues in just a moment. So we'll get ready here for round number 2 of qualifying. Kyle Keith going to be the first one off of pit road, trying to qualify his way into a race himself for the first time in about 3-4 weeks. His teammates Shaun Gallighan, Trent Dunham, Ryan Madden have risen to the occasion to be able to do a charter swap with him. But today he wants to try and make the race on his own. There is Trent, his teammate Kyle Keith just ahead. And while we're waiting for Kyle Keith to get around here to be started on the timer, I mentioned that Holden Gluba, I thought, was the pole sitter for this race last season, and that is indeed the case. However, I didn't exactly announce the cherry on top. He is the defending winner of this race as well. And he's back in the 55 Toyota for Joe Gibbs Racing, so they know how to get around this racetrack with that race car. He's got a chance to sit on his second career pole at the Glen in only 2 attempts. Now, right now, as things stand, Kyle Keith has one teammate who has moved into the second round of qualifying with him. So what he's got to hope is that either himself or Trent Dunham can place up inside the top 7 speeds of, quotes, 13 Go or Go Home drivers. If we throw Trent Dunham into that mix as well, he would qualify as a Go or Go Home driver if a charter swap were to take place. So he and Kyle Keith have to at least be up inside the top 7 in speeds. If Kyle Keith can be up inside the top 7 in speeds for Go or Go Homers, Trent Dunham won't even have to worry about the charter swap, and Kyle Keith would get into the race via his lap time. And he's just caught up here with another Go or Go Home driver, Marty Johnson in the 20, who just barely got himself into this round of qualifying in the second heat of the first round. And he seems to be holding up that Target Chevrolet, and that could hurt Kyle Keith's lap time, at least this time. He might be able to get by him and try laying down a faster lap time next time. But right now, side by side, not being really allowed to use the preferred line he would like to into the entrance of these corners, and now he will clear the Dollar General Toyota. So this might not be exactly a lap time that Kyle Keith will be looking for. He may have to try and regroup and try another time on this next lap. Well, a 108.821, that's nothing to turn your nose up at for a first lap time, especially when you're caught behind another driver. We'll see what his teammate Trent lays down. 108.368. So Trent Dunham top of the leaderboard for the moment in the Sega Chevrolet. Next driver to lay down a lap time, John Cittadino, 107.946. Cody Llamas, 107.948. So 2 drivers have hit the 1 minute 7 seconds here early on. As of right now, for Go or Go Homers, only 3 drivers have taken lap times: Cittadino, Keith, and Bolvin. Seth Cole, 3rd place, 108.357. The hometown driver. Johnny Gardner, another hometown driver, but he did not move into the next round of qualifying, so he won't be making a start at his home track, so tough break there for 2017. John Cittadino, also a native of New York, out of the Utica area. And right now, he's looking like he wants to start on the pole at his home track. Let's see if he can beat his own lap time. 107.946 last time, nobody's been able to touch that. And 107.857, he did beat it. How about Cody Llamas? Where's that 78? There he is. Let's see if he might have something to say about the top spot. Yes, he does. 107.696. Joe Gibbs Racing, number 78 Toyota, is now top of the leaderboard. And he just got bested by his teammate, Holden Gluba, the defending pole sitter, defending race winner here. 107.654. Toyota's right now 1, 2, 3 in speeds. Right now, for moving on to the next round, Kyle Keith is in the bubble spot of 12th place. Emmanuel Hartnett, Joshua Ciculii, a couple of chartered cars, 13th and 14th. They got to beat a 108.352. Look at the dust getting kicked up there. Oh, there's another New York native, Benjamin Miles. There's a lot of drivers from New York that moved on to this next round. And now, stuff's shuffled around up there in 12th. Davey Johnson now in the bubble spot of 12th place with about 55 minutes, or minutes. Yeah, we'll be here a while. 55 seconds, now 50 seconds remaining. 108.153, the lap time drivers outside of the top 12 in speeds have to beat. But do they have enough time is the question. Let's see if Gluba still gets scored this lap. He does. 107.438. He just cut down his own lap time by 0.2. Man, that 55 car is fast. Davey Johnson still in the 12th spot. 20 seconds. Now he just got knocked out. Now Grayson Acevedo in 12th place. Rocco Twyman started on the pole last week for Bulldog Motorsports. Right now Grayson Acevedo trying to make it back-to-back weeks where a Bulldog Motorsports car starts on the pole. And looks like there was somebody that spun there in the exit of the chicane. Don't know who it was. Oh, Trent Dunham. And this is bad news for Trent, because Trent Dunham, since this is round 2, he would have to go to a backup car and start at the rear of the field because of that. Session is complete. And oh boy, this puts... Oh wow. I was going to say this puts Sega Motorsports in a difficult situation, but maybe not. Kyle Keith, I think he was 8th fastest. Overall, he may have raced his way into the next round. So Trent Dunham may end up being able to use his charter to get into the race, since he's going to have to go to a backup car. If Trent Dunham had to do the charter swap with Kyle Keith, Trent Dunham would not be in this race, because with the backup car, he would be last. He would drop to last of the drivers in this session. So the drivers that will move on to the next round of qualifying are as follows. Holden Gluba, Cody Llamas, Anthony McCrury. Didn't talk about the 61 really in this session. He'll be 3rd. Dougie Shears, Zack Flickinger, John Cittadino, Seth Cole, Kyle Keith, Noah Cars, Dillon Poteet, Trent Dunham, and Grayson Acevedo. Now, for the drivers that are non-chartered cars that will make the race, Gluba will be in the race, Dougie Shears will be in the race, John Cittadino, Seth Cole, Kyle Keith, Noah Cars, and the final transfer spot into this race will be Davey Johnson in the 46. So the 5 drivers that will not be starting until they made it into the second round of qualifying will be Stephanie Gardner, O'Neal Balvin, Aaron Henderson, Marty Johnson, and Austin Mongold. Trent Dunham will be going to a backup car, but he'll be going to a backup car for... Wait a minute. Yeah, he'd go to a backup car, and he was 11th in the speeds there. So Trent Dunham, he can try and qualify with a backup car here, but regardless of where he is for the starting lineup, he will be going to a backup car. So he will move in on the next round of qualifying, but any time that he gets, really, it's going to be null and void. He's going to start at the rear of the field anyway. So anyway, let's head now for our final round of qualifying and see if Holden Gluba might be able to capture his second pole of his career here in 2 tries at Watkins Glen. Yep, I had to change the volume settings. I had to restart NR2003 because my computer overheated and shut down between this round of qualifying and the second round of qualifying. Dougie Shears about to come around, get the green flag to start his lap time. And as I was looking through our entry list, I believe we have 2, former pole sitters in this field for this race, I believe. I might be wrong. My numbers might be incorrect, but I believe the only 2 drivers that moved here into this final round of qualifying that have a pole this season, John Cittadino, he had a pole a couple weeks ago at Coca-Cola, and Dougie Shears, who I believe had the pole position back, I think he had the pole back at Rockingham, UK. I might be wrong. Can't quite remember. Seth Cole, the Liberty University Chevrolet, just ahead of Dougie Shears, but far enough ahead I don't think it will really affect Shears' lap time. And we'll see what the Dodge Dart can do. Of course, Dougie Shears' teammate Jake Baskinger going to victory lane for the first time this season last week at Rockingham, North Carolina. His other teammate Zachary Fitzwater took his first of 2 checkered flags at Rockingham, United Kingdom. So Dougie Shears would love to be able to go for the sweep for that team. 107.806. Nice first lap time there for Dougie Shears. Only one team, as I've mentioned several times, has been able to have all 3 of their drivers go to victory lane this season, and that was Retro Racing Enterprises, with Charles Sandfer twice, Kyle Matthews once in the Daytona 500, and Jessica Shelton at Darlington. Holden Gluba was not able to run faster than Dougie Shears that time, 108.404 for the Aaron's Dream Machine Toyota Camry out of Joe Gibbs Racing, but what a statement for Joe Gibbs Racing here. 3 cars, all made it into the second round of qualifying. Marty Johnson unable to transfer here into the third round of qualifying, but you got Cody Llamas and Holden Gluba both with a shot here to start on the pole. Those Toyota Camrys really good here this weekend at Watkins Glen, as Anthony McCrury tried to make a bid there for top of the leaderboard, but about a 10th off, 107.935 for the 61 Audi out of Kyotech Racing. Seth Cole, 108.516, right now the slowest of the drivers that have laid down lap times. And let's see if Dougie Shears improves. Don't think he did. John Cittadino, 107.907, and now let's see if Gluba, 108.137. That only improves his own lap time, but keeps him 5th out of 6 drivers. That could be the car right there that has anything to say about the pole. Right now, Dougie Shears has a 10th on the field. Well, as soon as I say that, Dillon Poteet, 107.784. Former winner this season, Dillon Poteet, trying to start on his first pole of the season. And that bested Dougie Shears' lap time by about 2 100ths. Trent Dunham up to 3rd. Now the tough break for Trent is no matter where he qualifies, by the drop of the green flag, he'll be starting at the rear of the field. That's a backup car that he just ran that lap time with. So, regardless of the fact he's going to have to start at the rear of the field, he's obviously showing he's got a very fast backup car. And John Cittadino up to the lead. Noah Kars jumps to 2nd, 107.603 for the 83 out of Fire Ice Racing. See if Dillon Poteet has anything to say about it. He's got to beat almost a 107.6 flat. And this time by 107.664. 6 100ths off Cittadino's lap. And McCrury top of the leaderboard. The road course aces are coming out late. Cittadino up to the top of the leaderboard. And then McCrury, 107.384. That is 3/10 in the bank over everybody else for McCrury. The road course ace strikes when it most suits him. And Dougie Shears just ran a 107.4. So right now it would be Anthony McCrury and Dougie Shears sharing the front row. Remember, Holden Gluba last season at this very racetrack started on the pole, won the race. If trends are what they are, right now McCrury is en route to picking up win number 2 on the season. And the session is complete as far as lap times, and Anthony McCrury will get his first pole of the season. The defending champion ended up getting into the chase last season. Based on consistency this season, nothing less. Trying to make a bid for 2 Hersheys Cup Series championships in only 2 seasons. So the way that your starting lineup will look, at least for the top 11, will be Anthony McCrury and Dougie Shears in row 1, John Cittadino, Dillon Poteet row 2, Noah Cars will share row 3 with Zack Flickinger, row 4 will be Seth Cole and Cody Llamas, row 5 will be Holden Gluba and Kyle Keith, and row 6, if my calculations are correct and I remember back to round 2, will be Grayson Acevedo starting in 11th, and Davey Johnson will be rolling off from 12th. Trent Dunham was 6th fastest here in the final round of qualifying, but due to having to go to a backup car after an incident out of the dog leg in round 2, he will be starting at the rear of the field, but he is in the main event nonetheless. So that's going to do it here for knockout qualifying here this week at Watkins Glen. Next up, we're going to be going road course racing for our 20th race of the season here at the Glen. Hope you'll tune in for that. Want to see what the full starting lineup for this race looks like? Check down in the description below. We'll see you guys next time as you've been watching a production of the NNSCRA Offline Racing at its best.